Good evening, all. I think there are few people left to join. After joining all of you, I will start. Am I audible and visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So now we are 5 here, including me. I think the last class there were 9. So my screen is visible to all of you. Hello. Hello. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Is it visible? Please let me know. Okay, so it's 7:32. I think I can start now. So the last day, now it's visible, na? The PPT, PowerPoint presentation. My screen is visible to all of you, na? You can see, na?
No, sir. The PPT is not visible. Only your face is visible, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I think it will be visible. Now, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just I want to recap from yesterday's evening. We have shared different kind of behavioral theories, approaches, and the 19th century when the behaviorism started at like a school in psychology. So basically, behavior modification or ABA therapy, applied behavior analysis, is based on those behavior therapies, behavior theories, which we have discussed in the last class yesterday. So can anyone tell me? My class is in a same room, like it will be interactive today also. So can anyone tell me that what we have learned in last day? Anyone from you, just make a brief, just give a brief. Hello. 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 Hello, is it audible to you? Please let me inform. Otherwise, I cannot.
Yes, sir. It's audible.
Okay. Please respond. Otherwise, I cannot understand. Is it audible or is it visible or not? So in last class, we have discussed about different behavior theories, that classical conditioning, operant conditioning.
Sorry for interference, sir. Actually, I have one doubt.
After finishing the class, this material is in groups.
So sorry, I can't listen you. Can you tell me again?
This material, this study material,
You
theory
you
material.
will get shortly by MindGuru. MindGuru will drop all the study materials with.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. Okay, okay. So basically, all those theories are the key point, are the tools of behavior therapies or behavior modification or applied behavior analysis globally. So today I will be very happy to start to recognize my teacher, Dr. Alendra Tripathi. He was my HOD when I was doing a diploma on disability and rehabilitation management. I have learned behavior modification from those professionals who are really doing flagship in behavior modification for and who in and research in behavior modification in the field of behavior modification. So I'm sharing his slide. I'm acknowledging him, Dr. Alendra Tripathi. So according to the concept we already told, I just make a short recap. We already know that behavior is some activities which are directly observable. Some are abstract also. So observable behavior like seeds, walks, combs, talking, writing, reading, all those. And abstract behavior activities like happy, sad, respects. Apart from this, we also discussed about covert behavior and overt behavior. And functionally, we have discussed about two behaviors, which are problem behaviors and skill behaviors. So basically, in ABA therapy classes or in ABA therapy settings, we have to deal in this kind of behavioral technique or behavioral approaches, which are problem behaviors and skill behaviors. So basically, a child or an individual who is having any kind of behavioral issues, we have to increase the skilled behavior and have to decrease the problem behaviors. So I will share accordingly that what are the skilled behaviors, what are the social skills, what are the socioadaptive functioning, and what are the problem behaviors. So behavior basically observable and measurable activities. Here, sir also mentioned that skill behaviors and problem behaviors. Skill behaviors are like motor, ADL, language, reading, writing, number and time, domestic and social, pre-vocational, vocational, money. And problem behaviors are like due to lack of communication skills, problem-solving skill, cognitive skills, wrong handling by pupil in the environment of the child. Behaviors are problematic if it is dangerous to sell for others or inappropriate for the age, and if any kind of rule breaking tendency is there, then behavior is problematic. Suppose I want to give a realistic example. Suppose I have told in the last class, due to sensory issue a child is hitting in his chin area. So this is a sensorial issue. So there we have to collaborate with a occupational therapist, and we have to measure the frequency, the timing when the child is doing this kind of behavior. According to occupational therapist, the therapist will do sensory integration technique to reduce that kind of hitting behavior. According to behavior therapist, behavioral approach, we will do the antecedent management. I will elaborately describe what is antecedent management to change the consequences of a behavior and what is the ABC model. So behavior are problematic, then if the behavior are problematic, then we need to change the behaviors. Okay. So problem behaviors are basically like showing temper tantrums, hitting, self-injurious, hyperactivity, restlessness, biting tendency, snatching tendency, rule breaking tendency, uh, kleptomania, pyromania, or argumentative behavior with authoritative figure, or argumentative behavior with any other person, rule breaking, don't obeying, all are the problem behaviors. So according to norms, societal norms in India, just note it down. There are two important books, two important manual for psychologists we have, and it is available in Google. Number one is Basic MR. Please write it down. Number one is Basic MR. You can download easily from the Google. Basic MR, BASIC, Basic MR. And another one is Basal MR, BASAL MR. You all know, according to RPWD Act, now the MR term is not used in a regular day. Today we are going to call MRs intellectual disability, and before 2016 it called MR mentally retardation. But now we are used to talk about intellectual disability. Okay, so what are the skill behavior we can learn, we can teach to a child with disability or to an individual with disability? Those all the behavior are appropriately mentioned in Basic MR and Basal MR, which are very useful material you can have in your Google Drive when you are doing ABA therapy. Basic MR is for the child with intellectual disability or autism or any ADHD. You can get all those skill behaviors, all those problem behaviors there. Basic MR is for children and Basal MR is for adult pupil. Okay, so problem behaviors are, I already told, destructive behavior, repetitive behavior, hyperactivity, or temper tantrums, violent or destructive behavior. There is a basic rationale for behavior modification, because I already told in my last classes, behavior is the thing, behavior is the phenomena, what we easily see, what we can see. There is a stimulation, there is an organism, and the effect of this stimulation behavior can occur. If a man shouting to another person, then that another person will shout to the man who is shouting to him, because this is a stimulus and reaction aspect. So rationale for behavior modification is behaviors are learned. Both good and bad behaviors are learned. Yesterday I have told about that observational learning, what we have learned from our society, from our family. So the both good and bad behaviors are learned. Behavior followed by pleasant consequences are learned also. Behaviors can be unlearned also. If the behavior is learned, then it can be unlearned also. Behaviors will increase when rewarded and behavior will decrease when punished. Yesterday we have discussed about if we are giving reward for a positive behavior or a skill behavior, then behavior easily increased, because there will be a motivation behind to do the behavior, to enact that behavior. If we punished for a behavior, then it cannot be functional, because punishment is always painful to any person. Every behavior will serve as a function. There are functional analysis. I will show to all of you some of functional assessment sheet. I got a picture, so I will share with all of you that what is the functional analysis. Is the first step, is the identification step in ABA therapy, and behavior modification program is being used to increase desirable behavior and to decrease undesirable behaviors. The major steps in behavior modification is identification of the problem. Suppose we have to target when an individual, and suppose a guardian or a caregiving person will come to you and they will tell that several problems the individual is having. Suppose he is eating, suppose he is not doing his regular task, he is not able to eat properly, he is not able to mix rice properly, he is not able to maintain his activity of daily living. There are several behaviors. In a realistic principle, you want to discuss with the caregiving person that what is most problematic in this present scenario. If the caregiving person or the person who is having behavioral issue and he has a good insight, a proper insight, he is suppose talking about he can't able to maintain ADL, like activity of daily living. His ADL, activity of daily living, is very much problematic. Then you have to choose what activity of daily living is problematic for now. Suppose he told that I am not able to maintain my toilet schedule. I don't have bowel and bladder control. Is it a problem to solve by a psychologist? Anyone from you? If an individual is having any kind of bowel and bladder control problem, is it a concern of a psychologist? Anyone from you?
Sir, I think yes.
Why? Give me a rationale.
Because if they have a bowel problem, it becomes difficult for them to behave normally or properly.
Okay. Suppose I have seen in my career, there are several child with autism spectrum disorder. There is a communication deficit due to some brain deficit in communication area of the brain, particularly Broca's area, arcuate fasciculus, and Wernicke's area of the brain. And due to the deficit of brain, the child cannot communicate properly when he is feeling that he needs to go to toilet for potty and susu. Why? He cannot communicate that he wants to go to toilet because of the communication deficit. So it is a major issue what the parents is facing. So as a behavior therapist, you have to deal with this issue. So identification of the problem, if it is a major issue which is having the child by the child, so it is a major issue. So it's a identification of the problem. So your target behaviors is to resolve this problem of bowel and bladder control and setting a time for proper toilet management. So how you can do this? After the identification of the problem and defining the target behaviors, you need to record the behavior. When it occurs, is it occurs in morning or in night, in evening or in afternoon? If it's occurred in the morning, so you need to set a schedule after the functional analysis of this assessment. I'm telling you how you can do a functional analysis. You have to record the frequency, the timing of the deficit's behavior, like the problematic bowel and bladder control. And the last steps in behavior modification is treatment procedures and their evaluation. Before the termination stage of your behavior therapy, evaluation, that how if the behavior is resolved or not, how it's resolved, how it will follow up by the guardian or by the individual. You need to evaluate that behavior. So here it's shared that the chart, how we can identify the behavior as per this behavior checklist. Suppose there are a serial number 1, 2, 3 of a some target behavior. Problem behaviors are like cannot chew food, screams and cry, does not stay in one place, hitting others. Priority, Just look at the slide. Priority is 4 for cannot chew the food. Priority is 1 for screams and cry. And the next column is maladaptive or deficit behavior. Which is maladaptive and which is deficit, you have to choose. And the target behavior and the details behavior, where it happens, in home situation or in social situation or in school or in college or in office. You have to be very clear when, where, why, with whom. When, where, with whom, and why. Why the behavior is occurs, where it occurs, when occurs, with whom it occurs. If you will record properly, you will do better behavior modification. Because every behavior is functional, and I just completed my class, last class, that the functional and motivation factor behind a behavior. So that functionality is very much related with where, when, why, when, with whom, all those principles. The situation which is a major factor for a behavior. So how you define defining a target behaviors?
Sir,
Yeah,
priority means?
sorry,
Priority means?
target behaviors. The target behaviors is like which behavior you want to change, you want to modify with your therapeutic alliance with the client.
Not target behavior. I'm asking about what do you mean by priority here?
Sorry, what mean by?
Priority means what?
Can you just drop a message, because your voice is not clear and I am not clearly understanding that your question. Give me just put a message in this chat box. Please drop a message. Yeah. Great. Very good question. Okay, priority means, suppose bowel and bladder control. There are so many problem behaviors. Bowel and bladder control is suppose a child is having problem in bowel and bladder control, and a child is having problem in writing ability. So which is the priority to deal firstly to decrease the problem behavior? What is the first priority? What will be the first priority? Bowel and bladder control training or the writing training?
The bowel problem, sir?
Yeah, because it's hampering your daily life as first. After that, the writing ability. So you have to prioritize to discuss with the guardian or with the individual that what should be firstly removed. Okay. So the defining the target behaviors, basically the observable, objective, and measurable terms, aggressive should be avoided. Hierarchy of problem behaviors depending on the severity and need, what I have told. Hierarchy of problem behavior. Suppose what is hampering most of the time. If the bowel and bladder control is the major issue, this will be prioritized as at first after the writing ability. Before the writing problem. And then you select the target. And in a practical situation, please go for 1 or 2 behavior firstly. And which is most problematic in daily life, firstly choose that behavior. And if you are succeed to resolve that problem behavior, then you will choose the another one. Don't do 4 or 5 behavior at first. Choose any 2 or any one of mostly problematic behavior to
So
modify that behavior.
Sir, what if both or two problems are affecting the daily life? What will we do?
There are several kind of problems when you will see a child or an individual with some behavioral issue. You can see there are problematic behavior like hitting tendency, biting tendency, snatching tendency tendency of talking rubbish, tendency of breaking rules. So you have to select which is most problematic to discuss with the individual or the parents, and which is mainly problematic for his daily life activities, which is hampering his daily life. After targeted this behavior, you can choose one or two. Firstly, after completing modification of those problematic behavior, you can select the another one. Now it's clear to all of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
So how you can modify? How you can modify? I am talking about this modification. I am talking about this management of behavior. But what is the process? What is the way you can follow to modify behavior? Now I am talking about this. There I have told that problem behavior, you can get the detailed data in a sheet, which I called a functional analysis of the behavior. What you need to record, I will just show at first. Just see here, look here. Behavior recording is basically, you can do behavior recording in 4 steps. Number 1 is frequency recording. If you can anyone have seen that autism diagnosis scale, which is developed by Nimhans Bangalore? Anyone have seen? If you see, if you can see, there is a frequency of rating. Sometimes, most of the time, there is a 5-point scale. There you can see, if there are any kind of scale which is basically measuring behavior, there must be a 3-point scale or 5-point scale. It's like, although most of the time, always, sometimes, the frequency is measuring like this. And there is a numerical analysis that when this behavior is occurs and how much the frequency. According to this frequency rating, you can select the behavior and the target behavior according to frequency recording. Most of the time it happens, sometime it happens, or always it happens. Duration of the recording, if happens, then how long it happens. Suppose for 10 minutes. Suppose a child is very much used to gratify his needs immediately. If the needs is gratified, then he or she will shout too much. He or she will he or she will show temper tantrum too much in a road or in a public situation. He shows tantrums. So how long he or she shows tantrums, the duration you have to record. That interval recording is also important. If there is a interval, like a child is showing temper tantrums, after some time he just stop and again he will start. So that interval recording is also important, and the time sampling. According to universal design of behavioral analysis, universal designing of functional analysis, I'm just showing you a sheet of functional assessment of behavior, functional assessment of both problem behavior and skill behavior. Just look at this picture. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Just have a look. There are, you need to get put the data, student name, date, respondent, and here are problem behaviors. Schedule times, here I mentioned schedule times. an activity. You have to write it down in this paper. And the rating is here. Likelihood of the problem of behavior. It's rating in a 6-point scale, 1 to 6. The low frequency is 1, 2, 3, and the high frequency is 4, 5, 6. Specifically, you need to write the problem behavior. Suppose hitting tendency, biting tendency, skin picking, anxiety, sensorial issues, restlessness, hyperactivity, bullying, aggression, temper tantrums, all are the behaviors. And according to this record, here select routine with rating 5 or 6. Only combined routines, there is a significant similarity of activities, conditions, and similarity of problems. Here also you can write some routinal activities or context. Context stands for when it occurs and the problem behaviors you need to put here. Just look at this second page of this functional assessment checklist. There is routine activities or context and problem behaviors. Just look how functional it is, how scientific it is. Provide more detail about the problem behavior. What does the problem behaviors look like? Suppose the problem behavior when occurred, what is exactly going on? If an individual with special needs and not able to speak, not able to communicate properly, showing temper tantrums and throwing all of those things which is in his hand, it's a problem behavior. Suppose a toy is in his hand and he is just throwing to his mother or to his father or to any caregiving person. So the problem behavior is look like if the anger is triggered and anger outburst is happening like throwing object to another person. So this is a problem behavioral scenario. After that, how often does problem behavior occurs? How often? How long does problem behaviors and when it does occurs? Like, you know that now the duration of the problem behavior. How long, how prolonged it is. What is the intensity and level of dangerousness of problem behavior? Suppose if anyone throwing an object to another person and suppose the situation is blooded, it's too much problematic. So the intensity of problem behavior you have to record in the functional analysis checklist and functional assessment checklist. Here, identification specific features of the trigger. What the factors triggered a problem behaviors? You need to put the data in the data sheet. And one by one, as I discussed, one by one. Setting events like why, suppose it can be peer conflict, it can be conflict at home, it can be hunger issue, it can be lack of sleep, it can be medication, use of medication. Sometimes behavioral problems will happen. It's a pressure of homework or assignment what are not completed. And lastly, you need to record what are the consequences. Consequences is the last effect of the behavior. When in an individual with special needs or any kind of behavioral issue is throwing object due to loss of control of his anger, and he is throwing an object to another one, and due to this throwing the situation is blooded, then the consequence is very poor. So you need to record the triggering factor, the behavior, and the consequences. Here in this checklist, you need to record all the things. Here, setting events, triggering factors, behavior, and consequences. Is it clear to all of you? Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now, the most fundamental, most important approach what we behavior therapists will do in a functional analysis and functional assessment. And this is the theory to modify a problem behavior or develop a skill behavior. Please write it down. ABC model of ABA therapy. ABC model. ABC stand for A stand for antecedents, cause of a behavior, why it occurs, where it occurs, when it occurs, with whom it occurs, the behavior. I have already told. There is, every behavior has a cause. Every behavior, suppose environmental cause or sensorial cause or any kind of physical irritation issues or any kind of pressure issues of daily life. So every behavior, you need to have enough knowledge about antecedent of the behavior of an individual who is having behavioral issues. Then the behavior, the duration and frequency of the behavior. When duration is, I have told already, duration is like how long it happens, and the frequency, how much time, how frequent it is. Consequences, reaction of others, benefits to the child or to the individual. After doing the behavior, what will happen? It is the consequences of a behavior. So the basic fundamental, the basic theory, the basic thing of basic important aspect of ABA therapy is ABC model of functional analysis of a behavior. You as a behavior therapist have to get enough data. What is a behavior? What is the antecedents of a behavior? If you selected bowel and bladder control as a problem behavior, so you need to select the antecedent from your interview. Why the bowel and bladder control is problem is happening? Is it a physical issue? Is it a deficit of sitting tendency of a child? Is it a fear issue of the child is not able to use the toilet seat properly? Is it the anxiety issue due to go to the bathroom? Is it a interpersonal issue with the mother or the father or the caregiving person to go to toilet with the person? You need to get sufficient data to know the antecedent to the cause. Clearly note what is the antecedents of the behavior. Is it, if it's a issue that the child have not the sitting tendency in a potty seat, in a toilet seat, in a commode, then you need to understand how the child or individual will develop the sitting training in the toilet seat. The sitting training in the toilet seat, you can use flashcards, you can use many kind of images how to sit in a toilet. You can do role play with the individual, how to sit in a toilet, if he has or she has any problem to sit, you do role playing with the individual how he or she can sit in a toilet. If he or she does not want to agree to sit, give the individual reward. If he will or she will sit, he will be rewarded or she will be rewarded. And counsel the parents, do it accordingly in the home atmosphere. Use different pictures, how we will enact when we will getting toilet, and how we will sit in a toilet sit in a commode, in a washroom. Show pictures to the child, give training how to sit, and you need to get training that how he will develop bowel and bladder. You can fix reward if the child or individual do it properly. And then the poor consequences of loss of bowel and bladder control will be changed. Then it will be changed, because every behavior has an functional and motivating factors. I have seen in my career, there are several child with bowel and bladder control. And one thing is very important to setting a bowel bladder control rules to get proper training, proper toilet training of a child. If he or she has no toilet training, to maintain the food intake capacity and water intaking capacity in a daily life structure. You need to counsel the parents how the water balancing, how the food balancing of the child or individual will be helped to develop proper bowel and bladder control. If there are any kind of physical issue, he needs to have some medicational help, then you please refer to physician. But if it's a behavioral issue and you will have enough data through your functional assessment checklist, then you can set the rule for proper antecedent management to get best behavior management. And then consequences will be changed. The functions or behavior is also all-time tangible. Sometimes it can be a cause for social attention. I have already told in my last class that escapism from the behavioral aspect and the sensory stimulation, which I have already told. In this functional analysis scale, here the target behavior, the serial number, crying and screaming, suppose throwing temper tantrums, showing hyperactivity or showing restlessness, all are the behavior you need to modify, you need to change. Here in antecedent, the proper write-up is mentioned here. Suppose X is our client, X is not given what he demands. Suppose in a bracket chocolate, consequences, X is given what he wants. Stop crying. Function of the behavior is tangible here. In second serial, crying and screaming, the antecedent of the behavior is X is not given what he demands. In the bracket kiss of mother, X is given consequences, X is given what he wants, stop crying. Here, the behavior is functional for attention development. That functions of the behavior. In the third situation, crying and screaming, X is being asked to bring a glass of water for mother. Mother say, don't bring the water, stop crying. Escape is the function for the behavior. And the last situation, X is alone. The consequences is X is given what he wants, does not stop crying. This is sensory stimulation. Behavior procedures for management is basically antecedent management, restructuring the environment, the environmental cause, what is triggering our behavior, and which is a major issue, which is dysfunctional or problematic. Making schedule of activities. I'll tell how we will develop, and I will tell elaborately. Extinction. Yesterday I have told, when I told all those theories. Timeout, response cost, overcorrection, mild physical restraint, mild aversive stimulus, and most important thing is differential reinforcement technique, DRA, DRL, DRI, and DRO. I will tell what is DRA, what is DRL, DRI, and DRO. The most effective things to develop behavior and functional behavior or skilled behavior. Is it clear now to all of you? Is it clear to all of you what I have told? Please give me response, otherwise I cannot understand. Okay. Note it down, please have a note down in your copy. Yesterday I have told about different kind of reinforcement, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and why we will not use a tool, punishment as a tool in behavior therapy settings, because it will be painful for an individual who is having behavioral issue. We have to set off reinforcement technique to develop skill behavior. Firstly, the differential reinforcement, what stands for DRO? DRO is a differential reinforcement for other behavior. On extinction, differential reinforcement for other behavior, DRO. Differential reinforcement for other behavior. What is DRO? Pick a behavior. When that behavior is not happening, suppose you picked a behavior like hitting in the chin, hitting in the mouth. If the child is not hitting in the mouth, give him reinforced. Reinforced him. So the child will learn, if I will not do this behavior, I'll be getting a reinforcement. This is called differential reinforcement for other behaviors. This is a reinforcement technique which we need to apply in behavior therapy settings, and we need to counsel according to this setting to parents or to school or to the class teacher. Reinforce the child when he will not hit in his mouth. Clear? After that, DRI, differential reinforcement for incompatible behavior. Differential reinforcements for incompatible behavior. What is differential reinforcement for incompatible behavior? Pick a behavior like sitting in their chair instead of standing up. Sitting in the chair instead of standing up. This can't happen at the same time. When the client is in the chair, you need to reinforce. When the client is in the chair, you need to reinforce. That is called differential reinforcement for incompatible behavior. Now the third one is differential reinforcement for alternative behaviors. Differential reinforcement for alternative behaviors. Pick a target behavior. Already told about the target behavior. And the replacement of behavior. Suppose skin picking tendency is your target behavior. If the child is not picking skin, he is doing alternative behavior. He is writing or he is reading or he is listening a song. You need to reinforce for the alternative behavior, which is called differential reinforcement of alternative behaviors. And the last one is differential reinforcement for low rates. Differential reinforcement for low rates, DRL. Suppose a hand-raising behavior of a client. A client raises his hand 30 times per class. You need to decrease, but not eliminate this. You can set your criteria at 10 to start. 30 to 10. 30 to 10, low rates, low rating. He's doing 30. He's raising his hand 30 times in a class. You set a rule, if you will raise your hand for 10 counts, firstly, you will be rewarded or you will be reinforced. So this is the low rate, frequency rating. As per frequency rating, this is low. So if the criteria met, you will be rewarded. You will be reinforced. This is the DRL technique. So there are 4 major important steps in ABA therapy settings. One is DRO, differential reinforcement for other behavior. DRI, differential reinforcement for incompatible behavior. DRA, differential reinforcement for alternative behavior. And DRL, differential reinforcement for alternative behavior. Is it clear? Is it clear? You can also use accidental rewards. You can also use accidental rewards. What are the accidental rewards? During art and craft, suppose I am telling a story. During art and craft class, Mason did not get his favorite orange craft paper and threw a tantrums by lying on the floor. In order not to disturb the class and to came down soon, the teacher asked another child to let him have the piece of orange paper. The teacher's original intention was to calm Mason down. So she gave him the orange craft paper. Such handling yields an instant effect of stopping the child's misbehavior. However, the fact that Mason could get what he wanted after throwing a tantrum only reinforced his tantrums in the long run. What are the suggested management? What are the suggested management? Calmly instruct the child to stop tantrums such as please stop screaming and stamping your feet. You can see in your behavior therapy settings, if you ask a child or an individual to don't do like this, don't shout, don't throw anger to another person, the individual will do it more because they have a contradiction to listen no from other one. You need to choose the positive sentence to develop a positive or a skilled behavior or a functional behavior. Suppose I'm doing like this. I'm doing like this. You, as a therapist, you ask me, don't do this. It can be fall and it will break down. As I listen, this is from you, I'll do it rapidly. You can tell me, please stop, do this, or please put it here, please keep it here. So you instruct in a positive sentence to stop problem behavior. You always have to instruct in a positive sentence, not in a negative sentence when you are doing behavior therapy, because it is motivational. If the child follows the instruction, praise him. Praise him. If he stop to do the behavior, praise him for stopping this behavior. Oh, that's good. You are doing great. Thank you, my child. Verbal praise. Use in your therapy situation and counsel the parents or the individual who is having that sleep complaint to instruct him in a positive sentence and praise after doing the desirable behavior. Then the desirable behavior will increase because the motivation rate will be high. You also do or talk like this. If you want the orange craft paper, you can ask Sarah, another child, politely, may I exchange the orange craft paper with you? You must not throw a tantrum. If the child refuses to cooperate and continues to throw temper tantrums, use quiet time or time out for his problem behavior. You can instruct, I'm counting 1 to 10 and you need to stop. I'm counting 1 to 10 and you need to stop. 1, 2, 3, like a time out manner. Clear? Ignoring desirable behavior. Planned ignoring. Planned ignoring is one of the important thing in behavioral therapy settings. Suppose if the behavior is not that much problematic, a child is hitting in the wall, it's very much problematic. It is very much problematic because it is harmful for his body. But if the behavior is not that problematic, you ignore in a planned way. Do not maintain the eye contact also the child if he shows temper tantrums to you. Don't give attention to the child. Just ignore. If he or she will be ignored, that behavior will decrease. That behavior will decrease because of the attention. You will not give the attention to the child. If you are doing this kind of behavior, I'll ignore you. I'll be ignoring to you. So, planned ignoring is one of the important aspects to increase skilled behavior and decrease problem behavior. In a behavior therapy settings, you also need to maintain a same level standard with the individual. Suppose the child is here and you are here. The child is visually, you are here and the child is here, and you are a authoritative figure. You are a authority and the child is a just little one. It is visually distracted for the child. If you are maintaining the same position, the child will listen you. You can hold his or her hand to instruct to the child. Suppose a child is having intellectual disability. He cannot understand what you instruct. Suppose you are asking to bring a chair from the right side of your room to the left side, but the child cannot understand what you instructed to him. You please go to the child, hold his hand like this manner. It's a principle of behavior therapy to maintain the same height and hold the height. Please don't maintain any kind of hierarchical position. Hold the child's hand and instruct, please bring the chair from the right side to the left side. It will be working out. It will be working out. You need to think it can be possible the child have no idea that what you are instructing to him due to his intellectual deficit or due to his communicational deficit. You need to teach how to bring a chair from right side to left side. He have not any idea that what is the right, what is the left. You need to orient the child about the left-right mannerism. Mirroring is one of the important mirroring is one of the important techniques in behavior therapy. I'll tell. Suppose a child is having attention deficit. You need to put some attention enhancement task or attention enhancement brain games to enhance the child problem solving ability or a child decision making capabilities, to enhance his cognitive management, better cognitive management, to do better behavior. I have told there are huge connection between adaptive functions and behavior. What are the adaptive function? According to intelligence, criteria of intelligence, we can assess DQ and SQ in a behavioral therapy settings. DQ stands for developmental quotient and SQ stands for social quotient. The formula is for DQ is developmental quotient equal to DA by CA into 100, like IQ. DA by CA into 100, developmental age by chronological age into 100. And for SQ is social age by chronological age into 100. Suppose due to any kind of developmental delay, a child or individual is not able to do activity of daily living properly. So firstly, you need to assess what developmental delay the individual is having. So you need to clarify the developmental quotient or the social quotient. And these are very much related with adaptive function, because as a behavior therapist, you have to develop that socio-adaptive function of the child. what I am talking about, the skill behavior. Very much connected, the adaptive function. Adaptive function is basically, adaptive behavior refers to ways an individual meets his or her personal needs, as well deal with natural and social demands and expectation in their environment consistent with their age, social class, and culture. There is also a cultural aspect. Suppose a behavior is not in the norms in Indian scenario, but it can be eligible in US or it can be eligible in Europe. So there is a cultural scenario also, and according to that culture, you need to teach or you need to counsel or intervene that behavior. Adaptive functions are those abilities and skills that enable a person to function effectively and independently daily at home, school, work, and the community. Collection of conceptual, social, and practical skills. Therapy, any kind of therapy is not a spiritual, there is a spiritual and philosophical aspect, but this is very much reality oriented also, because you have to gain the functional ability of the client. Sometimes it will be a ego management session, sometime it will be a moral developmental session, sometime it will be for social development, sometime it will be for behavior management, sometime it will be for conflict resolution, sometime it will be for better interpersonal relationship management. All those things are very much connected with the reality, practicality, cultural boundaries. All are the very much related and connected. Adaptive deficits are basically inability to cope with everyday's demands. In a behavior therapy settings, when you will be doing behavior therapy, you can see the person with behavioral deficits or behavioral problem behaviors. They are not able to fulfill the demands of the society, what the society teaches us to do, behave in a societal manner, in a societal way. The standard of the personal independence, how the standard of the personal independence will be met. The adaptive behavior is basically connected with those things. There are several categories of adaptive behavior, what you need to develop in antecedent behavior consequences management after doing the functional analysis of problem behavior and skill behavior. Adaptive behaviors is like practical skills, like personal skills, care for the personal needs, care for the home, care for use community resources properly, care for health and safety, find and sustainable works. Those are the practical skills. Cognitive skills are the communication with others, functional academic skills, self-directed, self-decision making, problem solving. Social skills, get along with others, communicate with others, use their free time to well. All those are adaptive behavioral skills. How do we measure, how do we use measures of adaptive behavior? To identify one's adaptive skills. How? There are several scales. In India, you can have Vineland social adaptive, which Vineland social maturity scale, which developed by Dr. Varatraj in India. There are so many adaptive, socio-adaptive functioning aspects in that scales. And all those mentioned behavior you can develop in your behavior therapy settings. You can develop in your behavior therapy settings. After 15 or 16 years old, You can see if a child is having intellectual disability or autism spectrum disorder or hyperactivity, he can deficit to button out and button in. You need to learn this also. You need to learn this. You need to teach this also. This is also a behavior. I'm just talking about this reality orientation of your therapeutic alliance with your client. This is also a behavior. No, not the shoelace properly is a adaptive behavior. Also an important adaptive behavior. Pulling chain is also an adaptive behavior. So we need to develop in our therapy settings. You have to identify the adaptive behavior firstly. You can use VSMS, Vineland Social Maturity Scales. You can use VABs, Vocational Assessment Scales. You can also assess important and very important skills for self-advocacy, which is very useful. That movement comes from US, and presently in India, we are doing this self-advocacy assessment, and it is very useful, very functional to develop behavior. So after identify one's adaptive skills, accurate behavior, what is, you need to elaborate to the guardian or to the client, and then you will provide guidance and counseling services to develop that behavior. And interventional method, suppose I'm just showing you. I have several flashcards with me. Just 1 minute. It will be more clear. Here are some story card with me. You just keep the story card to an individual and instruct the individual to make proper serial 1, 2, 3. It's a cognitive phenomena. If the individual is able to make the serial properly, then he or she is functional. If he has speech deficit, you try to listen from the individual what is happening in the story cards. What is happening in the story cards? If the client is able to make any sense in a short sentence or in a word, you praise that client. You praise the client. For this, in this kind of activities, we are using just some flashcards, storytelling cards, to gain his cognitive ability, to connect his speech and cognitive functions. If the individual is able to communicate properly, praise him. This is also adaptive skills. There are 9 important skills areas to assess in children. Please write it down. 1 is communication. 2 is self-care. 1 is communication. 2 is self-care. 3 is home living. 4 is social skills, community use, self-direction, health, and safety and functional academics. Communication is like looking, when talking with with another person, looking to him, be attentive to him, listening what he told, start conversation on topics of interest to others. Basic things to establish rapport, to establish proper meaningful communication. Uses up-to-date information to discuss current events. Self-care, washes hands, washes body properly. Counsel the parents to use mirroring technique to develop this kind of adaptive behavior for self-care. Anyone from you can just put on your camera. I can show what are the mirroring technique we used to apply in to develop our behavior, to develop our skill behavior. Anyone from you can put on the camera? Because these all are most practical things. This is not theoretical. Okay, Radhika ma'am is here. Radhika ma'am, mirroring is a technique. What I am doing, you need to do. Just look at me. Suppose I have a comb in my hair. Oh, Radhika, you are doing good. Great, Radhika. Suppose I have some creams in my hand. Doing like me. Mirroring. What I am doing, I instruct to the child or to the individual to do like this. Suppose you have a mirror in front of you. Doing same thing by the child will be developing his functional behavior. And why he will be doing this kind of behavior like you? Because you will give some reward. You will give some like DRA, DRO, DRL, and DRI. What I have told in this scheduled manner, you need to get that. You need to give the reward to the child or to the individual. You can develop toilet training using comb, using cream massage to maintain health and to maintain the proper self-care, proper hand washing technique. You can use mirroring technique to develop these functional activities. You can develop communication through the flashcard. There are so many stories. There are several kind of flashcards to develop speech if a child or individual is having speech deficit. But obviously there are some limitations in therapy also. There are also some limitations. Why? Because early identification of the problem is needed as much as possible. If the problem is longer, it will be difficult to decrease the problem behavior. It will be more effective when we will early identify the problem behavior. Functional academics is also an important task for adaptive behavior training. Basic things, basic mathematics, basic identification technique, basic matching techniques. Suppose there are so many seasons, like winter, like hot, like spring, and there are so many fruits. What are the winter's food? What are the fruits will have in cold? You just instruct to match that criteria. That basic things, functional academics. Because as per me or as per you, it is very, very, um, very easy. But in in an for the individual with any kind of special needs, it's not so easy. As a therapist, you all know, we all have to be empathetic, not sympathetic. You please be their situation. You please put yourself in their situation, not in your situation, not in your present scenario. You need to put yourself in their present scenario. Home living, like removes cookies, chips, other food, unboxing, unwrapping, maintain cleanliness. We generally use behavior modification technique in home. I instructed to the guardian to develop decision-making skill to the child. I instructed just fall down, just make the room messy, make your bedrooms messy, and you please watch what your child will do. If the child is able to clean or make the maintain the cleanliness properly, or suppose there are so many books in the bed and he organizes the book in the shelf properly, then you need to think the child is developing his decision making, because he is doing without any instruction. You will have to set this kind of scenario to develop the behavior. Decision making is a cognitive aspect, but self-direction is a behavioral aspect also. From the beginning of the life, from the childhood, if the problematic situation is organized by parents and the child is instructed to organize the situation, and if the child is able to make it properly, then you need to think that the child is developing his decision making capabilities. He is self-directed now. Home living is also important category. Health and safety is also important category. Even leisure, play activity. I told in my last class that play an important role. Play is also an important role in behavior therapy settings. Sometimes play plays a role like a reward. Suppose you have so many toys in your clinic or in your hospital or therapy setup. After completing a skilled behavior, you told the child you will get these toys, or you will be playing after completing this activity. Okay, so play here plays a role as a reward. Sometimes in behavior therapy setting, we use play therapy or play technique as a key tools to develop attention, to solve problems. And when the individual is able to solve problem, attention enhance. Interestingly, just I'm showing you an example. What is the shape? What is the shape? Please, anyone tell me. What is the shape?
Square.
What is the color?
Yellow.
What is the shape?
Triangle, sir.
What is the color?
Red color triangle.
Great. Great. This is a simple board. And there are several size and shape I have with me. You need to put all the shape and different color to solve the puzzle. When you solve a puzzle, this is the brainstorming activity, it's a brain games. And you are able to identify, suppose a child who has no idea of any kind of colors, shape, size, identification, and naming. You can develop his naming, identification, ideas, concept through these puzzles. There is a eye-hand coordination. There is a eye-hand coordination as beside of this eye-hand coordination, there is a development of problem-solving ability also. And when you instructed that if you complete this game, you will be rewarded, there is a motivating factors behind the behavior. The completing behavior of this puzzle will motivate the child to complete the puzzle, to solve the puzzle. As like this, we are using different kind of problem solving games to enhance attention, to develop problem solving skills, to develop naming identification criteria of a child or an individual in our behavior therapy settings. There are also some social activities like smiles to others, make or buy gifts for others, listens to friends and family members. Measurement of adaptive behaviors, there are several scales, mainly Vineland scales, adaptive behavior assessment systems. You can write down Vineland scales for adaptive behavior deficits, adaptive behavior assessment system, AAMR adaptive behavior scales, scales of independent living, comprehensive test of independent living. You can apply to know the adaptive behavioral aspects, what already developed or what not. After getting the sufficient statistical scientific data, if you see there are some behavioral deficit, you will make your therapy planning to develop those behavior which have not developed yet, as well as select those problem behavior, those targeted behavior after identification of the problem, and fix the schedule. Choose any kind of two problem behavior to reduce that problem. Choose two skill behavior to develop. Step by step, not in hurry. Step by step. Fix proper target, proper timing to develop a behavior. There are also an important aspect of behavior therapy is developing social skills. Developing social skills. What are the social skills? Anybody have any idea? What are the social skills? Anybody have any idea what are the social skills? Please let me know what you are thinking. Just give me a brief. What are the social skills?
So the interaction with the others or the communication with the others.
And there are so many social skills. And
Empathy, so listening skill, active listening,
and
problem solving.
and
So kindness to others.
great. And as a behavior therapist or ABA therapist, you need, listening with eye contact. Basic thing. But you can see when you will deal with a child with autism spectrum disorder, the child is not maintaining eye contact. Eye contact is also a social skills. Social skills are the behaviors, verbal and non-verbal, that we use in order to communicate effectively with other people. Social skills are governed by culture, beliefs, and attitudes. They continuously change and develop throughout our lives. Why? Because in our childhood, social skills are like smiles to another person. But when we develop professional relationship, we are engaging ourselves to shake our hand, to hug people, to hug senior person, to pranam or to namaste to senior person in Indian culture. So those all are the social skills. Smiling when greeting people, shaking hands, using right tone when you are talking, using right tone, expressing your opinion to others, assertiveness, express what you need. If you say no, that no means no. Make it proper sense to another person. Assertiveness training is very important aspect of behavior therapy. Assertive, be assertive. Perceives how others are feeling and showing empathy, what you told. Appropriate emotional response. I am again talking about autism spectrum disorder. You can see there are a rush of emotional reciprocity, showing exaggerated emotion, showing improper emotions in a, suppose showing excessive tantrums, excessive crying, excessive laughing, excessive talking, inappropriate emotional response in an inappropriate situation. So you need to develop those social skills in your behavior therapy settings also. As per my viewpoint, I am generally doing like this. I am selecting one or two problem behavior. Firstly, when a child or an individual used to come, I interviewed, I got sufficient, after getting sufficient data, I do the functional assessment. I choose two problem behavior and I selecting some strategy. I select some strategy to develop skill behavior instead of this problem behavior, and I choose some strategy. Suppose a child is not maintaining eye contact, what I have told in my last class. So for eye contact developing, I select some games, some strategy to develop better eye contact. Suppose moving object around the eyes, throwing the balls into the basket, making games to keep your hand, setting rules to keep your hand, to keep your legs, upper and lower limb management properly for better eye contact and eye hand coordination. And I also use here music to develop eye hand coordination, to playing instruments if the child has interest or individual has interest to play music, play drums. I generally use those things. Accordingly, I select 2 skills behavior as per the age of the child or the individual. As per the age of the individual, I select 2 skill behavior. If I see the child or the individual is not able to make social smile as a social skill, I select social smile to develop as a social skill for the individual. How I will develop social smile? I can use mirroring technique. I can use smileys to interact when I am communicating with the client. I can use real life situation. I can use real life situation. How I can counsel to the parents in a real life situation how social smile effective to deal with the individual. You please doing role play as per that manner, the social smile will develop. Is it clear? Social skills training is kind of a psychotherapy that works to help people improve their social skills so they can become socially component. Please keep in your mind, as a behavior therapist or a psychologist or a psychotherapist, we all are doing psychosocial intervention, not only psychological intervention. This is a psychosocial management, not only psychological, not only social, not only occupational. These are psychosocial aspects. In autism, in schizophrenia, in social anxiety or social phobia, or in intellectual disability, in attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, you can see there are so many deficits in social skills. And as a psychologist or behavior therapist, you have to develop that social skills for those individuals who will come to you for therapy. And you need to develop what are the cause of social skills deficit. You need to understand first. Is there any anxiety component? Is there any kind of sensorial component? Is there any kind of behavioral or physical component? After selecting the antecedent, you need to manage the antecedent to better behavioral management and change the poor consequences. To change the poor consequences. You have to setting goals. You have to setting goals to develop your targeted social skills. Generally for children, eye contact maintaining, sharing things with others, smiling, listening properly, sustaining conversation, problem solving skilled build up, decision making ability build up, communication ability build up, self-direction ability build up, self-help general activities, self-eating, locomotion, occupation like his occupation, not in an adult perspective, his occupation like studentship. All those are things you need to develop in your behavior therapy settings. In your behavior therapy settings, you need to develop. You can have client who is having bullying or peer pressure in school. Suppose the child is not have any kind of disability or any kind of special needs. Behavior therapy is also active, always effective, also effective for those population. How, if the child or individual have better insight, you please counsel to the individual for proper antecedent management. Why, where, when, who, with whom, proper management of the situation, proper manipulation and modification of the situation. To develop proper behavior, proper social skills and management of poor consequences. Suppose a child with social phobia or social anxiety. I told in last classes, systematic desensitization with behavior therapy you can use. You can show some cards of social gatherings. Then you put the child in a bus. Step by step, you will increase the exposure, that phobic exposure to the child, and teach him to how to do relaxation. How to do relaxation. After relaxing, again exposure with the phobic exposure. It is the therapy, it is the healing procedure for the individual. There is also important is vocational social skill training. Vocational social skill training is like counting money, calculating numerics, functional academics. Those all are the effective social skills. Those all are the effective social skills. I'm also talking about in ABA therapy session that a procedure of ABA therapy is diverting attention. Suppose an individual is showing tantrums for meet his needs immediately, but the other individual has no option to gratify his or her needs. He can divert his attention. Suppose an example I am giving you. I have seen for several child cases, a child went to a shopping mall with his parents, and he just he was wanting some toys from the parents, but it's very expensive. I suggested the parents, please carry some toys, some pleasurable things with the child. You just divert his attention to get the toy to the child, and just divert his attention to develop crying to smiling situation. To shift his attention from crying to smiling, you need to carry some carryable toys with you. Some toys or some play activities with you to divert the attention. Give the individual limited choice. not in a messy situation. Give him or her limited choice, give limited option. Children are generally more obedient and cooperative when offered the right things to choose. Giving children limited choice can avoid them going into tantrums for insisting on getting what they want. For example, let children pick a snack from a choice of 3 or an activity from a choice of 2. These all are the important thing to modify children's behavior. Let me check just once if I miss something. You can set some rules to develop behavior. You can set rules to develop behavior. How? If you are completing your home task in this evening, I will show you Chota Bhim. I'll show you Tom and Jerry. I'll give you a reward. Reward is not monetary. Reward will be like star, will be smileys. Setting rules is also an important aspect to develop skill behavior. Again, I am talking about, please ignore negative statement. Use positive statement to instruct the child for developing behavior. Don't use negative statement. Use positive statement to develop child's behavior, child instruction following tendencies. And if you assess his intelligence level or his social quotient level, and if you get any data that there is a deficit, please use verbal prompts again and again, but make it very simple instruction. Make it very simple way, simplistic way, because complex instruction is always very difficult to cope for a children or for a person who is having behavioral issues. Instructing the person is in a very, very simplistic way to reach out the instruction and to do the proper work. For children, there are also some engaging activities can develop skill behavior. What are the techniques? Suppose clay modeling, clay sculpturing, drawing, origami making, puppet making, putting marble papers in a flower or in a nest or in a house, in a drawing, in a painting. All those things are increasing attention, decreasing hyperactivity or restlessness. Those kind of activity engagement is always helpful to do to develop skill behavior and decrease problem behavior. Verbal praise is always effective to motivating the child. You can also apply a reward chart. A reward chart. If a child or individual is able to read, you can just put the chart in his study room or in his work area. That the way, if you will behave, you will be rewarded. And those principles, if you will follow, then you will be socially accepted. Those all kind of reward chart, behavioral chart, you can use in a behavior therapy settings to develop skill behavior and to reduce problem behavior. If the intelligent quotient is adequate, you also give example of logical consequences rather than poor consequences. How? Just tell some story, tell some moral story of poor consequences and logical consequences. Give the chance to the individual to select what is the best, which is the better scenario, the poor consequences or the logical consequences. If he will select the logical consequences, then why the logical consequences is better than poor consequences? Evaluate to the client. It will be effective to develop skill behavior. In a school settings, suppose a child is having restlessness or hyperactivity. Teacher complaining to the guardian, the child is too hyperactive. He is not able to sit in the class. He is leaving the class in the mid of the class. Setting a rule. If he has any question to raise his hand, if he will raise hand, he will be rewarded. If he will not sit, then he will eliminate from his friends. He will be eliminated from his friends and he will be in an eliminating zone. Not beat him, not shouting to him, because it will increase the problem behavior rather than skill behavior. Just eliminate to him in a corner of the room. Eliminate from his friends. Stop him to entry the class. Use play and pause techniques. If you will do this behavior again, you will be eliminated from the class, from the community, from the attachment of the friends. So now you select what you will do. Give him limited option, limited choice. Time in, time out, I already described. To develop behavioral management. And always, I'm just going to over my class, and please keep in your mind, it's a request from my viewpoint. Always establish a good, well and professional relationship with your client. A good, well and professional relationship with your client, and be very ethical, be very logical and rational what you are doing in your therapy session. You cannot harm anyone. If you are not able to do, refer other person or other person who has expertise. You don't need to deal, but be ethical in your practice. Establish a proper professional relationship, proper ethical relationship with your clients, with the client's family. Communicate softly. Communicate more with the children to develop behavior. Expressing care to them. Being fair in your practice. Expressing care to them that I'm here to care yourself. That feel they or he or she also feels. that feeling he or she also feels. You have to incorporate that concept to the client's mind, that I am a not harmful professional to you. I am here in a journey with you. We'll gain some knowledge, we'll adapt some ability to deal more effectively with your regular life, with your daily life activity, in your daily life activity. I think I'm over for today. This is we have just 4 minutes to leave the class. Is there any kind of doubt from you? Please don't hesitate. Please ask me. I'll try to clear the concept as much as possible. If you have any questions, you feel free to ask. Anybody have any questions? Any questions from your side? Any doubt? Okay, I think there is no doubt. Everything, every concept is clear to you. Again, this is the time to tell that I am very much thankful and privileged to have all of you in my class. Radhika ma'am, Arijit Ghosh sir, Gina Thusenia ma'am, Barkhat Nisa ma'am, Anupama Surendran ma'am, Hanana Saror ma'am, I don't know because I have not seen your face, Adila ma'am and Sana ma'am. And this is a great journey with you in this today's session. It is enriching to me for always, and I'm thankful to MindGuru to give me this platform and to give you this platform to sharing our thoughts, to develop our
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I think I'm over. If you have
Thank you for the class, sir.
If you have any questions, any doubt, just 2 minutes is left. You can ask.
Sir, what is the qualification to do ABA? Or is it approved in Gulf countries?
Approved in outer part of India, in abroad.
Yes.
According to RCI norms, Rehabilitation Council of India norms, there are several countries you can practice. I have some friends who are practicing in abroad, in fact in US or Europe, who are RCI registered. They are practicing in US and UK. And if you are a RCI registered professional, this is the criteria to do behavior therapy. This is the legal and ethical criteria to do behavior therapy. If you have proper education like B.Ed in special education or special education for autism spectrum disorder, intellectual disability, there are several terminology, or BMR or MMR, Bachelor in Mental Retardation or Masters in Mental Retardation, or MPhil in Rehabilitation Psychology or MPhil in Clinical Psychology, or PG Diploma in Rehabilitation Psychology. Those are the criteria for behavior modification or ABA therapy in a registered way. But there are several psychologists who has no RCI registration, but they can also do behavior therapy, but they can practice as a counselor or counseling psychologist.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Or any question? Don't worry, you will get all the materials from MindGuru. Or any questions? Okay. I think I am over for today. Good night. So, good night. Have a great
Good night.
Okay. Good night.